Yeah, this is Professor Buragohai. I'm the moderator for this session today, as I told you. I am the chairperson academic otherwise in the Royal Global University in Guwahati. Prior to that, I was the vice chancellor in Dibrugarh University, and prior to that, I was in Tezpur for my entire professional life, more or less, as a professor there in biology. I'm basically a biologist. Karma, if I have not mistaken, and if I remember correctly, I think you visited the Royal Global University sometime back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, then I met you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And Nasreen Habib, I don't think we have met, but then I don't know.
I don't know.
For the benefit of the students who are in audience today, we have Mr. Karma Paljor. He is the chief editor of East Mojo. And we have a very veteran journalist from Assam Tribune, Nasreen Habib. And they are very distinguished in their own professional domains. And we'll be talking basically about the emerging possibilities in mass communication and journalism, because many people, many students are aspiring to get into this career path, and many people do not know how to get into it. And perhaps many people also do not know that apart from the print media, apart from the electronic media, there could be n number of other possibilities. And perhaps it would be nice if we can also hear from the experts as to what are the basic aptitudes that are required, and where they, on the basis of their aptitudes, how they can have their aspirations along their journey in the future life. So I would not prolong. There are two aspects into our deliberations. On behalf of the students, I would love to know, first of all, about how to prepare oneself in this career pathway. Like how does one get into a program at the graduate level and the postgraduate level in mass communication and journalism, and what are the prerequisites for that? That is the academics part. Then after that, having acquired a degree or a postgraduate degree in mass comm and journalism, where do we look forward to for our opportunities as a career in terms of jobs, in terms of entrepreneurship, because these days these are also upcoming avenues. Because you don't have to look for a job. You can really create jobs as well by starting your own startups and enterprises and all that. So we'll discuss all these things during the next 45 minutes. But first on to Mr. Karma. How do you begin your understanding of the subject and the possibilities, prospects, and how to suggest, how to advise the young people to prepare to get into this track of career? Yes.
All right. Thank you, Professor. I think by nature, when you look at mass communication as a whole, the possibilities are endless. There are so many different lines of work that one can partake, that one can do. Because sometimes what happens is in the Northeast, and especially for me also, initially, I did not know. When I started out from school, I really did not know that there was a career like this for me. I had no idea. I used to write a lot. I used to write for our school magazine, but I did not know that there was an opportunity for me to carry this on because I was so passionate about it. Only when I went to college in Bangalore and I became the editor of the college magazine, one of my friends pushed me and said, do you know there's something called mass communication? And I was like, what is this all about? And then went on to explain. So if you look at the various branches of mass communication, there is one theme that connects it all. And I would say it is curiosity. If you are curious, if you're a very curious person wanting to learn about the goings on and the things around you, if you think that you can be vocal, in my case, I think being vocal, speaking out came much later. because even as a student, I was very shy and I could not participate too much in our debating or elocution contests and all in school. So all this slowly came to me as I discovered that this was my line of work. And I think first from college, it was for me to understand that, okay, there is a postgraduate diploma or a postgraduate degree I can do in journalism. And luckily, I got into the Xavier Institute of Communications in Mumbai, which is one of the best. And then on, I got a scholarship to study in the UK, to further my skills in broadcast journalism. But at the bottom of it, and I think Nasreen will be able to explain the academics of it much better than me. But at the bottom of it, I would say that it has to do with your curiosity. If you are curious, then all the branches of mass communications open up for you. And of course, you have to be very, very passionate if you want to climb up the ladder.
Thank you, Karma, for your opening remark. But you said something very important. You said it is basically the students must have the innate curiosity to know things, what are the things happening around us. It may be anything.
Anything.
But you have to be curious about it. And also the other thing that you said about yourself is that you are a very passionate writer. Even when you were in school, you used to write for your school magazine, and that is another thing. See, if I am curious about something, I gather some information, I know it, and I must have an aspiration to communicate it, to put it across the other side, whatever I have gathered. So I write. So I think there's a linkage between these two. My curiosity has to be linked with my capacity to express and communicate properly. And you say that your oral communication develop gradually. It's an evolving process, but then it generally takes a long time to break the ice for anybody and everybody. I'm sure about it. But then, as far as writing part is concerned, I think that is very important. And these days, in our days, I'm talking about, I grew up in the 60s. So during those days, you have to only write for the newspapers, and that's all. But then now you have so many, so many media, the different kind of forms, different kind of platforms, and each and every one of them, just not platform, they provide you livelihood as well.
Yes.
So we'll go into those details of those things. And I would request the Nasreen to say about the career, how to crack, how to get into the path of mass comm. I'm a higher secondary student. I am just preparing for my class 12, and soon I will be over. I will be through this class 12 examination. I have an aspiration to become a journalist, right? And a communicator.
Yeah.
How do I start?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am not sure if I'm the right person to answer this, because I think Karma must know about it. I do not have a mass communication degree. So I have not, I've not gone to the standard mass communication degree. What I have always loved since my childhood was a good story, like reading and writing both. I got the highest marks in the state boards in English. And then I remember that the good part about it was that I got a scholarship to buy a lot of books. And I did my bachelor's in English literature. I've continued at Delhi University, Hansraj College, till my MPhil. So for me, I think, the new age journalists that we have nowadays, it is not necessary to go for a standard mass communication degree. What is important is to have academic rigor, like Karma has, or a lot of other journalists have. They have academic rigor, they have curiosity, which he pointed out, and they have an understanding of the world around them, how it works. And you have to be willing to do the legwork. When I mean legwork, I mean that you have to know about the dynamics of the society that we're living in, the politics of it, the economics of it, the stories in your society. So you have to have an innate love or curiosity for stories. And once you do that, you will automatically improve your writing and your reading skills both. So like if you look at all the well-known journalists that we have, even the ones that I disagree with, like let's say Arnab Goswami, I don't agree with his school of journalism, but he is from Oxford University. So I'm not saying that everyone should go to Oxford or the Delhi University or the St. Xavier's. What I mean is that you ought to have an understanding of how the world around you works, and for that you need to have a knack for gathering knowledge about different aspects in life. Because I think a lot of interns come to Assam Tribune, and some of them think that this is the easy way out to do a mass communication degree and to get into journalism. But I think I know IITG and all of these are very difficult exams, but to be a good journalist is also quite difficult. I wouldn't say that this is the easiest path that you should take if you're looking for an easy way out. But if you have curiosity in you, if you're willing to put in the legwork, if you're willing to put in hours reading and writing, then journalism is the option for you.
Okay, thank you. I think another point that has emerged, apart from being curious, apart from being, having a knack for writing, you say that one has to be intellectually very, very rigorous in the pursuit of studies or whatever field in which one has the curiosity. It may be the different aspects of society, politics, economics, culture, science, sports, medical, healthcare, anything and everything under the sun. So one has to, I think there is a possibility these days that you can really go for specialization right from the beginning in mass communication and journalism also. But before that, you have to understand the grammar of it, the ethics of it, and the science of it, because it's a science. I know, because in science, what we do, we investigate to reach the truth, the fact, and nothing else. And journalism is no less than that. And we have, with a sense of responsibility, to put it to the mass, to the people, so that we become aware and we take informed decision at various levels. So I think this is a very responsible profession that way. But then I would again come back to Karma. Can you just relate to the students how your journey specifically? Right. You said you went to the St. Xavier's, you went to the UK, but just in a little detail so that they can get some idea.
Right. So what happens is once you're in class 12, you kind of get an idea of what you want to do. So there are lots of students who at class 12 kind of think that, okay, I want to be a journalist, I want to get into advertising, I want to get into mass media, I want to get into television, I want to get into films. So these are various forms of mass communication, and most students these days are very clear by class 12. Now, if you're very clear by class 12, there are a lot of graduation courses now. I know that Dibrugarh University, Tezpur University, they have their journalism schools. There are very good journalism schools in Bangalore, Delhi, across. So which give you a graduate degree in journalism. It's a some of them I think are for 3 years. Most of them standard ones are for 3 years. So you can go through that. It's fairly rigorous. But sometimes I find when journalists from these schools or advertisement or the PR department students come to me sometimes for internship and for training, I have found them wanting because I feel that in some of the universities the syllabus has to be updated. So that is my problem. And then the other way around is to do your graduation. I know a lot of people, journalists whom I have taught, who have done MBBS. Some of them have done engineering even, but have done graduation in various other fields, and then discovered that, okay, I want to get into journalism. So after you do, say, a BA in arts or something, even a BSc, then you join. Now, when you join at this advanced level, I gave an example of Xavier Institute of Communications. There are a lot of these journalism schools which give you a short course, which is a 1-year course to give you a good journalism degree. The best part about these short-term courses, like the Asian College of Journalism is there in Chennai, and a few are there, reputed ones. So when you go through them, what happens is you get trained by people who are actually in the field. So maybe I will come and give a lecture on investigative journalism. Somebody will come and give a lecture on public relations. So people who are actually working in the field will come and train you. So it's a much better hands-on training. So that after that, when you go, and there are also recruitments. So people come and recruit. There are campus recruitments. So I felt this is, then post that, you have a lot of scholarships. So there are British scholarships, there are American scholarships, which you can check out, apply. A few of my colleagues who are in my team when I was in CNBC joined the Columbia School of Journalism, and all of them got scholarships. And after that, I think Priyanka is working with Al Jazeera, and we have Zeba Warsi, who's just joined one of the top broadcasters in the US. So the opportunities arise when you're really passionate and when you know your journalism. But it will be a struggle. I know Professor Sir was also talking about entrepreneurship. Now, what has usually happened in the US, and I don't know, should I continue with this, Professor?
Yes, please.
So now what has happened is that a lot of people are turning into YouTubers and social media influencers. So this is another kind of opportunity that has opened up now. It's not easy in the beginning. You may see some of the YouTubers from India. I'll give specific examples. Like in Assam, you have Dimpu Barwa, I think, Nasreen. What's his surname? Dimpu.
Borwa.
Yeah. He has got 1 million+ followers. So he has a good earning from YouTube. YouTube starts giving you money once your videos start doing well and raking in a certain number of views. But it's a very difficult route. It has got a lot of its challenges because the YouTubers who are even average in the US get paid much higher, because the ad rates are all very high in the Western countries, and ad rates in India and the developing countries are much lower. So the work will almost be 5 or 6 times to be as successful. So challenges are there in the new field, which opens up now, which has opened up now.
Right. Yes, Karma, you have very rightly said that, if they have the grit and the, the basic aptitude, they can go to any height in this profession. I remember, I think one of the alumni of Tezpur University Mass Communication Department, he is the bureau chief of BBC for the Eastern Asia now. I think Gautam sorry?
Sachin Gogoi.
Sachin Gogoi, yes. He's from a small town in Upper Assam, Sunari Nazira. I know. So from there, if you have the aspiration, you have the capacity, you have to develop it through hard work, and you can become a global leader. So BBC is British Broadcasting Corporation, is something in the forefront of the world in mass communication, and it is well respected. So our people can go there. So that is, I think these are the role models also we have to look forward to. The other thing, I will go into the other aspects of, apart from the conventional print media, television media, radio and mass communication. I think these are all equally important. Radio we cannot undermine. Radio has its own meaning. We have those channels these days, FM channels, FM radio stations and all that. These are very, very useful in communicating information, entertainment, and so on and so forth. But then I would also like to draw your attention to another aspect of mass communication. That is the technical part. We need photojournalists. We need video journalists. And we also need a whole range of people who will be doing the editing, back office in the studio, maintain the studio. I think they also require different kind of skill sets, education, and experience, not just writing ability. I think this is the technical part. Can you just shed some light on it? Because anyone and everyone may not be adept at writing, but they may be very good photographers, maybe very good video editor, animator, graphic designer. I think these also have a place in the mass comm platform. Am I right? Anyone can answer. Any one of you.
Yeah. So, having worked in the mainstream media and having seen the kind of opportunities, so these are called the backroom boys.
Backroom
And
boys.
they have got a huge opportunity. And it's interesting that every aspect of the work that most people do at the back is controlled by certain people from certain regions. So if you go to Delhi, you'll find many lightmen and many video journalists are from Uttarakhand and Himachal. So they do all the lighting work. Then there is specialization for sound. In fact, Amrita Pritam, I think, Nasreen, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the top music producers in Bollywood, having worked with Rachel Pukuti. He has won many awards. He's very famous. He's a sound designer. So we need sound designers. We need people who know lighting. We need animators. I mean, the demand right now for animators, because of the way the OTT platforms have opened up, because the way the internet is evolving is huge. So there's a big. It's like the demand for nursing and doctors in the West. When there was a shortage, there still is. So if you are a good animator, if you are a good sound designer, if you are a good so the problem with video and photography is that the equipments have like advanced so much, that even people with lesser skills are able to shoot or are able to come up with results what in the earlier days would be impossible, without the perfect cinematographer. Still then, it just is such a huge array where people are not trained at all. You'll be amazed to see that many of these people who are now in top positions today do not have a formal degree because most of them learned on the job. I was visiting Shah Rukh Khan's studio once, I think just before the pandemic. And the kind of equipment, the kind of work that they do on the movies, this is post-production, the color, imaging, cutting. I don't think any school will be able to afford those machines because it's going to cost a lot of money. So you need basic knowledge about these things. And then after that, you get in, and most of the learning is a lot on the job.
Right. So I think another window has opened up into mass communication with this. With high-end technologies coming in, and with the advancement of technology, I think there is a scope for people from physics, electronics, engineering also to get into mass communication.
Yes.
I think they are very stereotyped in with reference to their aspirations for jobs. They only think that they will become only a physicist, a scientist, a teacher in physics. But then these places may be saturated now. But they have ample opportunities to get into the mass comm and many other similar areas. I think this is very important. Yes, Nasreen.
Yeah. So to add to this point, they're very good, engineers who are good with data.
Right.
They have collaborated with journalists, and there's so many data journalists nowadays. I'm sure Karma knows that this is the demand is the most nowadays for data journalists who are good with data and who are good with stories. And also when I look at the technical side of it, there's a gender aspect to it. Most of the technical aspects, you'll find very few women journalists or technicians. Mm-hmm. So this is my appeal to young women students to apply to mass communication courses, not only in the traditional, MA or BA in mass comm, but also maybe in the technical aspects of it.
Very right.
Yeah. So, and also like you're talking about Sachin Gogoi, and I also have another friend of mine, Chandrani Sinha. She won a major award, a climate change award, and her story is actually a set of songs which have been very nicely produced. So nowadays, when I talk about a story, I don't mean writing a story. I mean producing a story. So there is a sound aspect to it, because her story was about the music or the songs of the farmers who live on the shores or the small riverine islands. So that is why, and they are talking about climate change. They're talking about how the river has changed their lives. So her story is actually not only a single linear story, but there were many songs in it. There were short videos in it. There were bites of people, which, Karma is excellent at doing like an overall story, so he knows, and probably he'll have his own inputs. But my thing is that when people like her, people like Sachinda, they write, there is intimate knowledge about where they're coming from. So if you're from Assam, because I'm addressing this to students who are basically from here or the Northeast, that please pay attention to the community that you're coming from, the place that you're coming from, and gather knowledge. Because when I was growing up, there wasn't a chapter on Northeast India or Assam's history in my books, and I studied in various convent schools all over Assam, and I think that was my greatest disadvantage when I was growing up. So for young students, I would advise two things: that women, please join the technical aspects of journalism, and also please read up on your own region. Please read up on your own community, on your own roots. I think it is a very important aspect of becoming a journalist, which we often neglect.
Okay. I think, we are opening windows after windows in mass communication. There are so many things that have come up. Only yesterday, I was in a seminar in my university, the Royal Global University, where a young group of architects and people from, I think, social work, they have been gathering information from different communities in Assam, across Assam, about how they are using basic cultural indigenous knowledge in mitigating different kinds of disasters. Right, and these knowledge are there in the oral tradition, in the belief and all that. But then now suddenly we find that these are real science. These are the real facts, and they need to be communicated. And they made it was a Swiss collaboration. Our faculties are doing. It's a beautiful, documentation they have done, and it is basically for mass communication. So climate change and everything, sustainable development, everything, harps upon, communicating the right stuff, indigenous knowledge, the right science, environmental science, ecosystem knowledge, everything across the people, everybody. So this is another one. Anybody can come in. Now there is a question popping up in the chat box. A student of mass communication and journalism is asking both of you. She is finding it a little difficult to discern between mass comm and journalism. This must be different, these two. So how would you define with a little more clarity in terms of the prospects, career prospects in mass comm, career prospects in journalism? So there is a difference between mass communicator and journalism, even though I think both of them are communicators. Karma, please.
So journalism is a part of mass communication. From what I've studied and what I've understood, it is very clear that mass communication is whatever you use to reach out to the masses. It can be as simple as a mic placed in our village, and the village headman sometimes makes an announcement saying, you better come for the meeting. We have polio thing coming for the polio dots. You have vaccination today. So that is also mass communication. And it has got its various specializations that you can choose from. So it's a single tree with a lot of branches. But at the real root, the stem of it remains to be able to communicate and reach the masses. How, in what version, that will come later. So journalism is one of its branches, which kind of not only promises to inform the masses about the goings-ons, but also stands true as the fourth pillar of democracy. And it's very cynical, and it's of the government or the powers who rule a particular country, and it's always questioning, is always curious, is always bringing out stories stories which are unheard of. Now, what has happened sadly is that journalism then has turned into PR, which is public relations, where all they do is come out with good stories, wonderful stories. Nothing is wrong. The country is doing great. Buy this soap because this soap is good. Then that becomes public relations. So that is another branch of journalism, public relations. Right now, the division is very thin, and you don't know which area you are stepping into. Then there is radio, then there is television, then it's just so much now. And then one of the most promising these days, which has opened up, is because of internet, is now social media. So in social media also, there are now digital experts who can help your company grow. Some of them, have started blogging, vlogging with video cameras. The lazy ones who don't want to write these days, just put a camera on their face and say, hello, follow me, like, subscribe, and all those things. And then they tell us about the goings-ons around them. It's very powerful, some of them. They will do reviews of gadgets and then so it's like so many branches. So journalism is just one of the branches.
Right. Thank you. I think what comes to my mind immediately is, when you mentioned about a YouTuber earning fortunes with many, many followers with them, if they are very successful and popular, and they do, communicate whatever is to be communicated from their point of view, and they are hugely successful. Then, the social media has become so powerful for mass communication. I find that there are companies, there are organizations which keep on constantly updating their clientele, the customers, about their various developments about the companies. And they do need people who can write the contents. They're called as the content writers.
Yes.
I think that is another area where mass comm people can easily get into it, content writing. And they can earn good money about that.
Yes.
And also, people with background in finance and commerce and management, they can go for digital marketing. They have a lot of marketing opportunities through the social media platform and other platforms, where communication skill will be very important. I think these are also avenues where students can get into, because digital marketing is in now. With COVID, it is more so.
Yeah, Professor, if I may, I just wanted to point out about one of the things, a very important thing that you said. Students who are very good at, say, commerce, or who are very good at economics, and math to a certain extent, they've got a fantastic future as a business journalists also.
Business journalists, yes.
Business journalism, analytics, as Nasreen earlier said, data journalism. So there's a whole world for them, because what is happening is increasingly business journalism is one of the first who are able to monetize, which means that their reporting is so critical. Like if you are in Economic Times Prime, people pay for the stories. Everybody pays because it's critical to them. It's critical to their companies. So business journalism is still thriving. So if you happen to be a good business journalist, then the sky is your limit. So business journalism is one of those areas where you can do really well, and at minimum risk to you.
Right.
Because people are not going to come and beat you up like, us.
So that brings us to this, that even people from economics and finance and management can also capitalize on their hardcore expertise in their own respective domains of finance, economics, and business, and they can come to the platform of mass communication and business, and because their critical analysis would be of tremendous value and relevance to the business houses or the corporate houses or the business communities. So there is another window that we have opened. So there are n number of opportunities that we can see. Now, coming to some of the important development that you see, being in the Nasreen, being in the print media, because there is a lot of anxiety among the citizen certain distortions in mass communication also, like we have the concept of now post-truth. Am I right?
Yes,
So
of course.
people go for, people really want good journalists with rigor and commitment to the fact, and we really need absolutely good, professionally competent journalists, because please remember that the press is also known as the fourth pillar of the nation. Am I right? So therefore, a lot of responsibility goes in. From this perspective, what do you have to say, Nasreen?
I think that's an excellent point. You know, in a post-truth world where facts are sacrosanct, and we are often told that journalists should be neutral. I would like to quote a journalist called Christiane Amanpour. She used to be one of my favorite journalists when I was growing up, and she said that journalists do not have the burden of being neutral. They should rather be truthful. So for me as a print journalist today, it is not my job to be neutral. It is my job to be truthful and fact check everything that I write, because now is the age of fake news. So there are many forms of communicating. The government, like Karma said, there can be an announcement that is being made in a village about a certain scheme, that these are the ABCD benefits that we are giving you. And then there may be reportage on this in radio also. But for me, my job as a journalist is to cross check whether what the government has said and what the people are receiving is the same, or is there a gap between them? And if there is a gap, then there is my story. So, my job is, I'm not a PR person, so I will not be talking about all the different aspects of, mass communication, but rather about a role a journalist has to play in today's society, which is, of course, being the fourth pillar of democracy, which is, of course, critiquing those who are in power and those who, are accountable to us as citizens or as journalists. So my job is to bring out those stories that are going to help strengthen society in different ways, and also help hold a mirror to us. So, it is essential that, I do not write an opinion piece, talking about the benefits of the current government, or I'm not here to praise anyone. I'm here to do my job, which is to make sure that, facts and reports are being cross-checked before being put out on print. So if I'm writing a story, it is my responsibility to be truthful and not, neutral.
This reminds me of one journalist, P. Sainath. He would be just not there in the public domain for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, and he would be in a remote village, right, with the people, with the community, and collect data, understand, internalize, and then do the analysis, then come up with something really which is of great importance to the society today. Yeah, please.
Of course, P. Sainath is also one of the journalists that we all look up to. He has a network called PARI. It's PARI. So I would like to mention 3 or 4 resources that young students can Google, and then if they wish to become journalists, they can take the help of these resources. So PARI is one of those networks, and they take in a lot of stories related to rural journalism.
Rural journalism,
and I think for a state like Assam, where we're very agriculture dependent yet, and so there are many stories that come out from the villages that, let's say, a lot of newspapers or digital media houses, they are not interested in. So PARI takes in those stories.
Nasreen, please remember, someone said, not it is my saying, that India lives in its villages.
That may be so, since stories are also in the villages.
Yes.
So, but then but that's the truth, a lot of stories are being underreported from the villages. So PARI is one network that is, taking in stories. And specifically for the Northeast, I think there's a lot of scope for environment journalism, climate journalism. And there are major grants that are being given to journalists from Northeast India. So when I'm talking about those grants, one of them is the Pulitzer grant. And in fact, one of my friends, she's received it. She's from Assam, and she's working on a story sitting here in Guwahati, and she has a grant called the Pulitzer grant. And then there are other, resources that are available. There's a network called NWMI. This is the network for women in media. And this I'm specifically talking about women journalists or young women journalism students, that this is again one network and one resource that is available for them. And it is very important to know about all these resources, because when I started, I did not have access to any of these, networking channels. And this is one skill that we don't talk about when you want to become a journalist, but you have to network, not only for the sake of a story, but also, to understand where journalism is going nowadays, and to make sure that you have the resources that you need to get your story out. Because some of these stories are not being reported, are not being published here. They are being reported, but they are being published outside the region as well as outside India. So God is not, it is not essential that you have to publish your story only in the Assam Tribune. Of course, this is my organization and I respect it. But I'm just saying that now the world is literally at your doorstep. So even if you're based here, you have a lot of resources at hand.
Thank you. I think we have run out of time, but the bottom line is this, that even if you have pursued a degree in mass comm and journalism, you can really stop for a while and find out what you are up to. What does it interest you? Is it politics? Is it international relation? Is it science? It is healthcare? It is agriculture, rural? And accordingly, you prepare yourself and take the plunge. I think the world is wide open, as you say. The world is at your doorstep. Only thing is that you have to prepare yourself and take a plunge ahead. So thank you very much, Karma. Thank you very much, Nasreen, for being with us. And I'm sure the students have benefited. We try to give an overview as to what is happening in the world of mass communication and journalism, and not just the career path. I think there is a lot to learn, a lot to know, and they can really avail the opportunities and take themselves forward. Thank you very, very much once again. Bye-bye.